Right, welcome back to my Let's Play of One Piece Pirate Warriors. We're moving on to the second episode now, which is Buggy the Clown in an action episode. If you're familiar with One Piece, you could kind of guess this isn't the full start, and it briefly goes over some points that it misses. There isn't anything major gameplay wise that would have probably happened, but there's introduction of Shanks and his crew, where Luffy gets his straw hat from, which is about 10 years before the storyline or something like that. Also explains why he's got the little scar below his eye, and also where he meets Zoro is kind of skipped over as well, which is the green haired guy to the left there. Also don't think we see Kobe or Alvida. I don't think neither of them are in the game at all. They aren't really that major, but it would have been quite nice to see them in it, particularly Kobe. And we do have a few of these manga cutscenes at points, particularly at the beginning of the episodes, which it explains either now or in a second, seeing where they are, which is before the time skip. It's hard as it's like, if I was thinking from One Piece, you know what it is. It's kind of once they've got their final crewmate, at least of part 1, as so far there's like no more crewmates in part 2 anyway, but Brook being the newest crewmate, but this is quite far on and towards the end of the game, so yeah, they're kind of just, it's confusing the way the game's timed out and everything. I would have rather just played through it originally through the main story and whatnot, but it kind of goes into a slightly flashbacky mode, but it's not really that much of a flashback. And they're just randomly talking here, so I'll just let you listen or reading or whatever just now.
Namiが強くなったのは俺が作った武器によるところが大きいわけだ。ナミはバギーの下っ端にも勝てなかったもんな。うっさいわね。昔の話じゃない。そんなか弱いナミさんも素敵だ。あ、サンジ、肉おかわり。
時は。And there's also these little quick summary things, which kind of goes over some of the stuff I think I said in the last part. I'm going about Goldie Roger, and goes a bit about Shanks as well as meeting Zoro as well. And about the devil fruit as well. And I guess another thing I said before, even though it's very relevant to the game really, if a devil fruit user falls in water, they become incapable of moving, well, particularly seawater, so that becomes a bit dangerous for them, which is one of their main downfalls. But yeah, we're starting in the Buggy part. As well as if you're familiar with it, we don't have Buggy's henchmen, we just have generic pirates and Buggy, so there's no weird random sword guy or weird guy with a line I don't even remember the name of, which is a bit sad. There's a lot of characters missed out in the game, but quite like this bit. I guess you kind of like move the camera around for no real reason, but yeah, pretty much just fight these guys, and this is the start of it. You see a little bit of a map there. I think there was a map before, but it will gradually get bigger, and when we get later episodes it will practically cover that side of the screen. You can turn it off and you can zoom into it as well, but we have our Gumi Gumi bullets. You've probably noticed by now he likes to say Gumi Gumi. My brother's pronouncing that wrong before. He does a lot of these major attacks, which is kind of nice, I guess, but still weird. And power techniques, so we could charge them for longer, which I barely really use. I only really use it for a particular R1 technique, which is our, at the moment we only have the pistol for it, but yeah, and it took me a while here to actually realise the really, like, is I was trying to do the technique it's saying at the bottom, which I think is what I wanted me to do, or maybe it was to beat a certain amount of enemies. I wasn't paying full attention at the time, which isn't too good, I guess, but I couldn't help it. It's like, it's hard to get some of the combos in the way Luffy moves, particularly try to go for 2 triangles. I have a habit to try to press triangle 3 times, which is just, it's not bad, it's just like, yo, I don't really need to do it, but I still end up doing it. I guess another thing, I can't remember if I said at the beginning of this part now or last part, there's a coin system. As you level up as well, we unlock more pockets for coins, which basically, as we complete through levels, we'll get character coins, and they'll either be a tribute to defense, HP, or attack, and they'll have us between half a star and 4 stars, which will boost that particular stat. But we have side pockets which will boost it even more, whatnot, and special effects. And when you put a certain characters beside each other with it, it would also maybe give a different ability depending on what it makes, which will probably make more sense when we actually get to it. So this is the first time we actually do meet Nami. She actually, I don't think she uses any of the attacks she gets later on, but she still has a staff, which she technically didn't have at this point, but it doesn't matter. I don't think she had it at this point, but it doesn't really matter much. And I guess one thing is you should get used to seeing these pirates, because we're going to be seeing a lot of these pirates, even if they're slightly recolored or whatnot and slightly tougher later on. We're going to be seeing them a hell of a lot, but it's understandable they have to reuse common enemies, but I still wish at times there's more particular enemies. I love the Gummy Gummy Balloon. And we can now change them around. Every character has an R1, but Luffy's the only one with 2 of them. Well, he doesn't have 2 of them, he has more than 1 of them. But I obviously only have 2 at the moment. It's easier just to kill these guys without doing it. It's too much time and effort to like time it right to bounce it back, because you can't stay in the balloon mode for very long, which is a bit of a nuisance. Another thing I wish about the game, it did but it doesn't actually do, is actually let you play as the boss characters, such as Buggy, who's the one firing the balls and whatnot at us. It would be good because they obviously are in the game and everything, and that would be too hard to make movesets and whatnot for them as to play in another log part. There's a certain reason you have to always play with Luffy apart from certain parts of it throughout it, and that's particularly there's weird moving parts where you only can be Luffy to really go through and whatnot. And obviously there's chests there, tells us about them. Some give us attack and defense increases for about 30 seconds. That teacup there would increase our yellow bar by 1 bar if we needed it, and there's also health recovery as well. Some only recover a certain amount of health and whatnot, others increase it by more. It just depends on which one really. But I don't need any at the moment, so it's kind of irrelevant and it doesn't particularly matter too much. It still is quite fun. I just love like jumping around, slinging his body around and whatnot. And I like when you take an area over that all of the pirates would run away generally. Sometimes someone will stay and whatnot. And I'm not too bothered about save point. I've never ever, well I did save originally because I thought I might actually need to save here, but you hardly need to save whatsoever when doing these things, unless maybe you're doing it on hard, and then maybe then I'd say yeah. But I think on easy and normal, at least for me, it's not particularly that bad.
改造を返した上に親分売って一味に入りてえた面白い女だ。
まったく海賊ってのは単純でやりやすいわ。予想外に簡単にお宝をいただけそう。
さてナミ、おめえの元親分をバギー玉で消し飛ばし、俺様への忠誠を誓うのだ。
いつを殺す。私は結構です。それよりそうだ、歓迎パーティーの続きをしましょう。
やれ。
手が震えてるぞ。中途半端な覚悟で海賊を相手にしようとするからそうなるんだ。
覚悟って何よ。人を簡単に殺してみせることがそうなの？それが海賊の覚悟？
違う、自分の命を懸ける覚悟だ。
ナミ、てめえどういうつもりだ。
なんだお前、今さら俺を助けてくれたのか？
バカ言わないで。勢いでやっちゃったのよ。たとえ真似事でも私は非道な海賊と同類にはなりたくなかったから。私の大切な人の命を奪った大嫌いな海賊と同類には。
人をちょぐるのも大概にしろ、小娘。派手に殺せ。
まだ火が。
女一人に何人がかりだ。
And now we get to play as Zoro, which is quite fun. Also another thing, if you do press select, some characters change their appearance slightly, such as Zoro putting his bandana thing on. Others don't do anything at all, which is a bit sad. Well, they do things, but they don't change their appearance really, they just do like some sort of taunt and whatnot. And that is Zoro's R1, I've already shown the moves that's shown up the side, and that's his R2. I can't remember if I've shown Luffy's R2, if he has an R2 or not. It's hard to remember just now because I'm extremely forgetful for some reason. Oh wait, he doesn't have an R2. This is the weird lock-on thing which I'm not showing yet. But yeah, I do like Zoro. He's probably my third favourite to play as. Or maybe second, I'm not sure. I would say Sanji's. I don't know, I quite like a lot of the characters to be honest. Sanji's probably my favourite though, just because I love kicking around as he just generally kicks.
ロロノアゾロに間違いねえな。俺の首でも取りに来たか。
いや、興味ねえな。俺はやめたんだ、海賊狩りは。
ほら興味あるね。てめえを殺せば名が上がる。本気で来ねえと血見るぞ。
なんて手応えのねえやつだ。何がおかしい。おとなしく檻の鍵を渡せ。
バラバラの実、それが俺の食った悪魔の実の名だ。
逃げろゾロ。
あんたはどうすんのよ。
了解。おい、喧嘩だ。
はい。
よせ、伏せろ。
俺たちが目指すのはグランドライン。これからその海図をもう一度奪いに行く。仲間になってくれ。海図いるんだろ、宝も。
私は海賊にはならないわ。手を組むって言ってくれる？お互いの目的のために。
And back again, and we have a crew strike thing now. Generally a lot of the time it doesn't actually let you go all the crew members you want, but obviously there, press L2. I'm just need to keep stand square and we'll get to control Zoro for a little bit. We can't move them until we actually attack, and there's no one to attack, so yeah. You can see at the left there, the little yellow bar. After using it a few times, it will fill up, and then it'll use his special eventually as well. One thing I've noticed I really dislike, which I guess some ways people are like, yeah, why are you just like that, is how much the game emphasizes particularly on Nami's breasts as well as Robin's. It's like, they've got boobies! Did you know they have boobies? It's just like, it's one of those things that annoys me at times, but it's not a particularly game breaker or anything. I actually forgot how cutscene it was, and it's probably a bit more cutscene throughout as well than I remember. But that's still quite good. I mean, reason for because I'm playing another log most of the time, which isn't too cutscene-y, so isn't cutscene at all, really, to be honest. So yeah, the story mode is still quite good. There are parts, particularly towards the end, I feel it does underdo a lot when it could have done it a lot better and everything. So yeah, this is what the R2 does. This is like the thing why we need to be Luffy in the main story mode, because we need to do things like this for no real reason, and obviously no one else is able to stretch or anything, so yeah, that's just it always gives you a hint where it's nearby. You have this skull above your heads. You have a few of these chests that aren't really that worthwhile. They give you a few of the coins I mentioned earlier, so yeah, it's kind of useful to have, but it's not really that useful either. I jumped down here, but actually you don't go down here. I would have thought there might be some enemies just in case, but I was thinking just like, you think there's someone I've got to go to the side, but no, I've actually just go back up here and go over there instead. These puzzly bits sometimes last for a very long time later game, which is a bit annoying, but it does at least mix up the gameplay a bit, giving Luffy things like this to do. But I do wish they actually did it a bit more for other characters, so other characters can maybe do similar things, even though no one else really has. Everyone else is pretty normal compared to Luffy, so I don't know what else they could probably do. I do love his thinking post, which we will see quite a few times when he just looks at things like this and is like, oh, I'll actually do this instead. When he has a new idea of how to use his abilities, which is just this time to stretch back and use himself like a slingshot, which is quite nice. I'm not sure how they got here though, from where they were, but wherever, we helped save them, so that is all good. So yeah, there's just a few of them standing over here for some reason. I do like this little touch as well. You can knock a lot of the enemies into the water. Even if they're full HP, you can still knock them in and kill them, so it's just another nice little touch I quite like about it. And this is one of the parts I hate, but this is about the only point in the game you really have to bother about them, is to use the balloon ability to knock the cannonballs back towards the cannon, so you need to aim it pretty well, time it pretty well, unlike what I did. The cannonballs fired a lot faster than I was expecting, so I got hit, which is a bit bad. It's easy to get used to, it's just not something you use that much. There is enemies with the cannonball gun thing, which you could use it for, but personally I prefer using different R1 techniques. I think the one, when you beat bosses for each episode, majority of the time you learn a new R1 technique, and I think the one we get for beating Buggy is the one I use the most, which I can't remember what it's called, but it's probably the one I find the most useful compared to the rest. The pistol or jet pistol, whatever we have just now, is decent, but it's not the one I think is the best. So yeah, we're moving on to a slightly harder moving area. It's not particularly that difficult, it's just getting a bit more used to having continuously moving around and pressing square essentially. There are obviously harder ones later on, but this is probably about as hard as it gets in this level. I think this is actually pretty much the last main part of this just now. I think there's maybe one more bit, another coin to get. Again, the coins particularly aren't useful, particularly early game, because they aren't really worth that much. You get better to get the better coins when you get to the later levels, but also if you're doing hard, you're more likely to get better starter coins. and compared to easy and medium. Obviously medium's a bit of a medium one to go for, but yeah, whatever. There's more enemies to beat Buggy Pirates apparently. I still do wish there was maybe a few specific ones you may recognise from being his, but they aren't, and I may as well just use my circle for this guy. I actually KO'd him, which I'm surprised about at this point, because I'm not particularly high level. Later on they're easy to kill, like with circle or whatever, which I try and use sparingly, but if I need to use it, or if I just want to get rid through an area quickly, I may as well use it and get out of the way, so it makes things easier. And oh god, this area, it's not a particularly hard area, it's just an area I spent quite a while originally, because just failing really. I kept thinking enemies are going to respawn, but I kept also wanting to try and get some of these, which I felt like I did hit them, but obviously I'm just getting hit around like a balloon kind of. I do hit a few of them back. Actually, I hit 2 of them back. I just missed the one, which kind of just went on some weird kind of course. I don't know where it was going. Yeah, I didn't want to kill his enemy originally, so I thought more enemies would spawn if I killed him, but it actually isn't. Turns out not to be the case. I kind of moved out of the way, so it's not going to hit me. But yeah, he's out of the way. No more Buggy. Actually, Buggy clones come back. Also, Buggy's probably one of my favourite villains. At this point, he just seems threatening, but later on, he's just used essentially as comic relief, and I just love that. One thing I do like about One Piece is a lot of the characters come back, and there are a lot of characters throughout the series. Okay, the big meat there is obviously the health. It completely restores your HP, and the other things for your special, which completely fills it, but because we only have 1 bar, it's got any heal special things going to heal us anyway. So yeah, there's a lot of cannons here, and we're going to be version Buggy. When I first did this fight, I did horrendously bad, because obviously it was the first proper boss fight. The Pacifista was not particularly bad, and it never had 3 separate HP bars kind of things. Normally when, obviously you can see it's like split into 3 sections, that means once you get down 1 bar, he's going to change his tactics somewhat, or he's going to do something different, which will happen with most bosses. Either they might sometimes just get a bit tougher, other times they might do something different, but again, it's not too bad. This part's actually not too difficult. It's a bit annoying as you have to time it, and you can get hit by the cannonballs quite easily, but other than that, it's not particularly that bad. I think I spent a little bit of time on it. Did I hit any there? I don't know. Obviously not. Well, I might have hit one and made it just go the wrong way. But yeah, it's good when you could hit both of them. But again, like I said, it's not very common to get any more cannonball things like this, I don't think. I also just find his chop chop fruit to be quite an interesting power. At least means it's just bizarre in a sense. It's just, I know obviously like being a rubber man and lots of the other powers are quite weird. It's just, I don't know, there's just something pretty weird about it, but I still quite like Buggy. He tries to act tough, but he's not particularly tough either. I think Luffy and Buggy actually have some interesting conversation between them, like mentioning Shanks again, who's the person who gave Luffy a straw hat. Another interesting thing, actually, Shanks and Buggy here used to be in Goldie Roger's ship. Obviously, if you know about One Piece, you'll know about that. They were both apprentices on it, and I think Buggy wanted to steal the devil fruit, which was the chop chop fruit, and Shanks unknowingly kind of sneaked up on, not purposely sneaked up on him, but sneaked up on him, made him accidentally eat the devil fruit to hide that he had it, I think, and then he fell in the ocean, which made him immobile, which was kind of funny, but whatever. I really hate this mode because it's been so long since I fought it, I thought I had to do the R2 aim and press square to get it, but that is not what you have to do. You have to just get up at it and press R2 at the right time, obviously avoiding getting hit and knocked around like what I'm doing. But I guess it might be a bit fun just to watch me getting hit. And I just noticed the center square there where the eyes and the Buggy nose for the skull there, it actually does look like a Disney sign. I know it's obviously it's just coincidence that it looks like one, but it's just the uncanniness of it. And I guess another thing you might notice is that every pirate has their own flag. They're all based on the same kind of skull, but they're all like personalised. Like Luffy's being a normal skull with a straw hat and everything. Buggy's just being with a big clown nose. And again, if you kill Buggy using that, you get a trophy. Yeah, this is telling us about the X movement, which is something, this is something you really need to be able to learn, and I hate like switching into a certain mode here so you miss that attack completely misses, but you need to be able to do that dodge attack a lot. Maybe on easy you might get away not doing it, but definitely on medium and definitely on hard it needs to be used. Otherwise I'll find it very, very, very difficult to play without it, and you're just going to get hit constantly. Unless you have like massive HP and massive defense, you might stand a chance, but other than that, not really. I'm having slight difficulty trying to make sure I get the combos in here. I think the spit here was the main problem I had. I kept hitting him, but I kept hitting him at the wrong time, so he'll just counter me and then he'll knock me back, and then I won't be able to move and whatnot and taking a good amount of damage. I'm also just finding it hard to play, not used to having as much strength and skills as I can, because it's weird that later on in the game, if you come back and fight Buggy again, you can probably defeat him pretty quickly and easily if you ignore the cannonball bit and the feet bit, but even then... And that's the bazooka, which is a technique I love the most from his R1 techniques. S ranks are pretty, at least on medium, maybe harder on hard obviously, are quite easy I think through the beginning few levels on medium, probably a lot easier on easy, and this is a coin system. You get certain coins of characters and whatnot. Obviously these are all quite low. If you get a duplicate you get a choice of keeping the one you got or the new one you got or the old one you have, which really depends. And you also get a level up screen. We're level 4 now, you can see the minor stat changes there, which is quite good. And we acquired coins, so we may as well get ourselves a coin for now. We get 2 coin slots beside the middle one, which will boost whatever type and make it, either attack, defense or HP, and we also get 3 pockets, so we get another 2 below us. I'm just going to look at for the highest ones. I'll go for stamina, because I think I need stamina more for how much damage I sometimes take. I normally go for stamina and attack, defense sometimes depending on the character. So yeah, that's the end of Buggy the Clown's episode, and next time we're going to the Don Krieg one. I can't remember if... I'm just trying to think. I don't think Usopp's is before Don Krieg, but Usopp's story is I think after, but Usopp's whole thing is basically skipped. It's a bit of a shame, as there was some interesting fights there, not the most exciting, but it would have been good to at least understand who Usopp is more, but it kind of skips over that, where if Usopp's is supposed to come before Sanji's or after, is that Sanji's the next character we gain on the crew. But anyway, thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I shall see you next time while we go find Sanji and fight Don Krieg.